Yeah, it's been a great morning already.
Has it? Okay, well, I'm looking forward to hearing that. Good morning, everybody. Happy Wednesday. I'm super excited about morning momentum this morning. We're running a little late because tech issues happen sometimes, but we just go with the flow. And I am here with my amazing friend, Bryan Elliot, who is the founder and CEO of Flow Energy. And Bryan said, "Hey, what are we gonna do here this morning?" And so I just said, we kind of just go with it, talk about who you are and how you gain your momentum. And he just said, "We'll just go with the flow." And I said, "That's your brand.
Exactly.
That's who you are." So we will totally go with the flow. And so you're going to want to hear what Bryan has to share because he does go with the flow and he really does live by his brand and who he is. So welcome this morning, Bryan.
Well, thanks, Grace, and thanks for having me. This will be a lot of fun. Who knows where it's going to go?
I know you you do so much. You see, you're CEO founder of Flow Energy, which is what is Flow Energy?
Yeah, so we are so it's a program, and it really started with my mother called me years ago, and she said you got to come see the poverty. And it was probably 20 minutes from where I grew up in New Brunswick, and it was pretty bad. Like there was areas of, and they call them high priority areas, and they had well over 60% poverty, and it had actually these areas had the highest child poverty kind of concentration in Canada. And so I teamed up with a just a young 26-year-old sales lady from Toronto that I met and brought her on as executive director. And with a white sheet of paper, kind of just started looking at the problem. And now we have over 2,000 kids in our program in schools and in different cities, and working with parents, children, community. And we operate 6 days a week in the schools, Saturdays. And so we have parent support groups and really connect them. We have these huge brunches that we bring all different families. So all the isolation and shame and all that stuff, we really break it down with just love, respect, and feasting together, and then supporting one another and sharing stories and learning together. And it's a pretty incredible program. And that's I mean, with everything, right? It's just a day by day and see what God's going to do with it, and you'll always be surprised.
You're such a beautiful man, Bryan. I mean, your heart is so enormous. You really do have the love of God that flows through you, just on how you live to serve and to grow and expand, and you really are limitless to what you are doing. And you're always this calm. You always have this beautiful, calm demeanor about you. So we're talking about momentum. How do you do this? How do you grow in momentum? How do you grow and expand who you are, why you're doing what you're doing and who you're doing it for?
Well, I would say I had a certain type of momentum in my life. I would say throughout my life, I always had a kind of a measure of success, and but I also carried a pretty high level of just standard tension over the business realm, and I didn't wasn't really experiencing transformation. So I loosely called myself a Christian. I left the church when I was 18 and kind of lived life my way and really lived in the world pretty heavily. And it wasn't until 2016 that really everything began to change. That's the year I made Jesus Lord of my life, and that was such a dramatic shift, and beginning to live above like my circumstances in totally different ways I didn't even know were possible. Start to experience freedom, deliverance, fell in love with the Word of God, fell in love with prayer, and then my daily walk really began to shift and change. And from that point onward, I've just noticed that just walking with God in more intimacy every day, like my life has changed. The level of peace I carry is actually quite bizarre. Like it's a and even like it's funny. I experience things still that are kind of pretty big obstacles, and literally, like it's so different. I mean, like for example, last week I had three different pieces of not so great news and one really big piece of bad news, and I looked at my phone before bed and I saw this like big loss that came in, and literally, because I know God's my provider now and I know that He's using everything for my good, I literally looked at it and just closed my phone and rolled over and went to sleep. Like I was, and it shocks me. I'm not trying to do this, right? It's just God's presence, and just knowing how good He is, that He is my provider, and then you can be opened up just to be creative with God and just to experience life with Him, and so it's like the storm, like when your eyes are on Jesus, like the boat can be tossed and turned, but if we put our eyes on the storm, of course, in the waves, we'll sink. But just keeping our eyes on Him, and then just He's so faithful, and that's why I can't stop writing about God and the kingdom of God and the goodness of God. It's just because it's so overwhelming and all consuming.
It's so true. That's so beautiful, but it's so true. And yeah, like you, Bryan, I've made this commitment. Either I believe it or I don't.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah, totally.
Jesus said, I came to give you life and life more abundantly. And that's in every area of our life. And we need to model and demonstrate that. And it's the more you let go, the easier it becomes. Have you found that, Bryan?
Yeah, I mean, but I mean, again, that didn't start till 2016. Like when I really made Jesus Lord, like when I gave my life to Him and I said, look, I'm not going to live for myself. I want to live for you. That's when everything began to change. Then a whole new process took hold. And then there's such a peace in not being like the captain of your own ship, and not, and the self-reliance, like the self-indulgence, all those things that used to pull me. Like my life has simplified so much, and the priorities of my life have clarified. I just see everything differently. And I turned 53 this year, and I said to my company, I feel like we're just starting. And at the end of my next book, I said, like, I feel like life is just beginning, because I'm just beginning to see through a kingdom lens now, and just beginning to see what life with God is really like. So I feel like I'm just starting, which is amazing.
It's so, oh, that's beautiful, but that's kingdom. Seek first. So when you decided to seek first His kingdom and His right ways for your life, and believe it with all your heart, mind, soul, and strength, and come into alignment with that, kingdom everywhere has been added to you. And I mean, you carry a lot. You have a lot going on that you're responsible for, and life comes. You are not free from obstacles, trials, or even errors.
Yeah,
Right?
exactly.
You make errors, right? Bryan, we make
Tons.
errors. That's what happens. But we learn, being in this place of growth and expansion always, like God, even when I make a wrong decision, right? When I'm trying these things that I've never done before in business and growing business, regardless of it, you're going to turn it for good. We don't have to have everything right in place. You're going to make it for good.
And we never will have everything. And that's the whole point. I think that's where a couple of things come to mind, that that Jesus said that Peter the rock, and on this rock I will build my church, right? His ecclesia. And when you look at Peter, now Jesus, so the revelation of Jesus Christ as the Lord and Messiah, that is the rock, right? And but what's interesting is he said that Peter, right? If you look at the life of Peter, that that he exemplified as how he's going to build his church. Like Peter was a mess, right? He was like hot tempered. He was a fisherman, right? Of just a common, ordinary man. He betrayed Jesus, denied him 3 times, and the Garden of Gethsemane. He was sleeping when Jesus was saying, "I need you to pray. I need you here with me." Right? Like he sank when he tried to walk on the water. Like, and the list goes on and on. But that's, I mean, so we are. We are jars of clay. So we're these earthen vessels made of the dust that Jesus chose to make His home in, right? It's unfathomable, but we're just awakening to that revelation, and therefore just the brokenness, the ineptness, the imperfections that we carry and that we have. And that's why they're designed to give God all the glory, because all transformation, all fruitfulness comes from Him. And as we begin to understand that, then the pressure to perform the religious chains begin to break, and freedom begins to take hold.
Oh my gosh, it's so beautiful. Did you hear that message? Because you delivered life and truth. Life and truth. Right there, where you've given a demonstration of someone who struggled, right? And saw the newness of life and had breakthrough in that. I just have somebody at my door. bark and the dog's barking on the thing. I'm
And,
not
and, and
alive.
there is life taking hold. It's
But so sad that you were able to hear it while the dogs were barking. So thank you so much, Bryan. Now the barking is out of control and nobody will be able to hear for 2 seconds. Sorry. Thank you for delivering that life-giving empowerment to us, Bryan. And
yeah, anytime. Like this is fun. So just let me know whenever you want to get together again.
Yeah, will you come on again? I would love
anytime. Yeah. I mean,
again.
it's fun just kind of just going with it and just seeing what God has for each day. So anytime.
And you're a beautiful, beautiful entrepreneur and somebody, that just models kingdom, models peace, models goodness. And we need to do that better, right? We need to model things so that people have hope, that there's a desire to more in our lives, in everything that God has for us, through business, help people find their identity and their purpose and life abundance, through every area of our life and especially through business. So God bless you and God bless you guys today. I hope that you've been really encouraged and built up with what Bryan had to deliver to us today. And so we just speak peace and flow on every one of you, ears to hear, eyes to see, that your day just would be completely filled and overflowing with goodness. Bye, everybody.
Amen. Okay. God bless.